Accelerant Manufacturing, pre-roll ecosystem.
I'm Grant Schuster. I'm the CEO and founder of Accelerant, and we're an automation company in the cannabis space.
Pull that a little bit closer to you, Grant.
Is that better?
So Accelerant have these little cool, I don't know if we're going to zoom on that, whatever, but it's America's 250th cone here. So these guys, I hear a big key differentiator in yourselves is that no human hands touch your guys' product. It's all made by robots. This is where the robots actually win. So tell us a little bit about that. What differentiates you guys as opposed to other cones and other ways of manufacturing this?
For us, I think what's important is we're really putting our money where our mouth is. We back all of our equipment. We own all of it around the country, and we're doing it from making the supply chain more efficient and bringing onshore domestic-made cones, which is an example of what you have there. It was made literally 2 hours west of here. And then we bring you the automation to fill it. We bring you all that automation to keif-coat it. We're getting into the packaging side of things. For us, is really, we think the pre-roll vertical, as it grows and now is, the premier category, really hasn't been innovative. A lot of people have white tips and white paper cones.
Just plain, right?
Just plain Jane.
Right, and it's not has. You're right. Not a lot has been with the innovation of cones. I mean, you do see some things that are kind of pop up for special times or that's sort of gimmicky. But you're right, and I think one of the biggest things is that it's made here, so there is no there's no tariffs and all these other things that come associated with bringing these in from outside. So right off the bat, you guys are cutting it down, and it's great to have that made in the States. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, we're making everything in the States. Blunt paper is actually made domestically and then shipped overseas.
Blunt paper as in like hemp blunt paper?
Yeah, like hemp blunt paper is oftentimes made domestically, shipped internationally. There's some blunt papers that are made internationally also, but rolling papers get shipped all the way around the world and all rolled by hand. For us, we want it to be precise and precision, so we have paper, ceramic, probably later this year, glass, all made domestically, rolled, so that if you want to have a quick launch, you can launch your product. And I think part of the reason people don't launch new pre-roll SKUs is because the lead time and the expense. When you think about launching a product and not selling from an empty wagon, you got to have not just the products to make them today, but keep them on the shelves. If you look at the cost of ceramics to the providers that come to this show, they could be out hundreds of thousands of dollars for the idea of what the product might be. For us, and when you partner with us, you could get a small case, 5,400 cones, get it shipped to you, in 2 weeks, see if your product works, and we're constantly increasing the amount of capacity we have. We do have a big backlog, but that's just because I think what we've built is compelling to our partners. But, the bigger our backlog, the more excited our investors get, the more money they want to put into the business, and the more joints we roll, and the more cones we roll. So for us, it's a little self-fulfilling, our existing...
Pun intended, right?
Yeah, very much so. And then seeing trends. Kief-coating takes a lot of labor, in certain states with unions. That's kind of a challenge. It's not the easiest job to do. There have been issues with Kief in, even this state in Illinois. There's been some issues, with that. And so we look at automation as how do we help you make more money? And we're willing to put our name behind it. Every machine, last quarter, we did $250,000 of upgrades that no one asked for, but it made our machines run better for us.
So, and I one of the, in talking, before this interview, talking to your CEO, he mentioned a few great things on how, basically if a company were to, incorporate your guys' machines and you're running these, tell us about how the money saving off the back end and how being in your ecosystem can help businesses save even more and more on as time goes by, compounding those savings.
Yeah, so I think like going in order of the supply chain, right? On inventory cost of cones, often our prices, as competitive or better. So there's a little cost savings there, but on a lead time, our filling machines, in addition to labor savings and making sure your quality is consistent across the board, the other advantage is I track all the units that you're making. So I already know what you're making. I know where you're trending. I'm keeping your inventory. You don't have to go out 100 days or 120 days and put deposits down like crazy for international shipments and then wait, right? I'm going to have it all right there. Another element that will be probably the end of this year is we'll do post-processing analytical testing on the paper cone. If you're in Missouri, you might test positive for chromium after it's been rolled and shipped and you get it and there's nothing you can really do. For us, we'll do a check with the lab and actually make sure that you have something that's chromium free. So that's sort of some of the cost stack savings, the labor savings of filling it. Then keif-coating is incredibly labor intensive, and all the way through everything I've described to you, the CapEx is zero. Your debt burden is zero. It allows you to go leverage your business to go open up a new dispensary or go launch a different product or, put the money into something that's going to bring additional ROI. You can have both, right? If you look at someone's CapEx budget this year and it says, I can spend, $1 million, they could spend that money on automating one line, or with us, they can automate 2 lines, get twice as efficient. And I think that's unlocking it. Later this year, we'll do packaging. We've been really working hard on that, and for us, it's really about driving innovation. And I love having samples. Here's a keif-coating one and an engraved one, and wherever the blunt was I gave you, we think all these are options.
So this is something cool. Like in terms of, and I don't know if folks can see this up front, but I don't know if this is laser done but it's basically, you have pretty much, you can put branding on your pre-rolls, or you can make it personalized for someone special. Just like this, our someone special is America's 250th. So tell us about, in terms of this, how much can you guys output? Is it a big bog in the process time? Did me just ordering cones, or?
I mean, if you go crazy with it, it can slow us down. But the truth is every month we're adding millions of cones capacity at this point, and so this time next year we'll have the capacity to do between 40 and 60 million cones a month, domestic. And
wow.
What we're excited about is, like that engraving you said, to give your customer an experience that no one else is going to give them. I think that's what sets people apart.
Absolutely.
Or also, there has been a time or two where I rolled a joint and I couldn't remember what strain it was.
That's a very good. That's awesome. So you can label your joints and stuff them accordingly. That's smart. That's freaking genius.
I think there's that. I think there's giveaways. I think, there's activations. Every year we sort of toy around with what to do on them. So, we've printed QR codes. We've engraved QR codes.
Do they work on the cones?
Yeah,
they really do?
It's a little easier when they're filled than when they're empty.
Right.
But, if you wanted to do a little, secret concert, you could do that.
So the possibilities are great. Yeah, I love all those
really
ideas. Yeah.
I think traceability, uniqueness. You may not want to do something unique every time, but you may have a pattern of engraving that you like waves. Or you could see at the top of that cone, it's not straight. It's actually got a curvature relative to a waving flag. So there's a lot of opportunity to be explored with what makes your branded pre-roll yours, and to actually own what you're selling to that customer, and they have an experience every single time.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Now, obviously, I think one of the biggest issues, for me personally, why I don't use typical joint, cones, is because they towards the end here, you get that little pocket of air and it's not tight and it just doesn't freaking work. So after smoking it for a while, that's when that usually starts to clench up on you. How do you guys get around that?
Well, our compaction, I'll talk about that with regard to our filling technology, which is really the core of our business. we use an air compaction system that makes a completely uniform product. For us, that's really what we think differentiates our technology on the filling side, and allows you to roll a tremendous variation of infused, infused, non-infused, heavily infused. We have some partners who are here today that do crazy infusions, 50%, rosin. I don't know how they do it. It's their special sauce. I'm excited for them.
Right.
But
that's my thing. If you add in, let's say, all those crazy oils, have you ever hit a friction point with a client and says, hey, I'm trying to load up this oil, this is just not hitting right or whatever?
We work with everybody. I'm not here trying to change your product and what your consumers, expect and what you think is great. We do guide them. There's been instances in the past where, either we took back the machine and innovated it and brought it back, which we've done, or there's been times where we just looked at their product up front and said, are you willing to change anything? If they say no, we say, look, maybe this isn't the right partnership, but we're putting a lot of money at stake, for a long-term relationship, and we want it to be really successful for everybody. So there's been a few, but in reality, our equipment handles a really wide variation. We've done a lot of different things. We've learned a lot. I would say we've done every different type of infusion at almost every different level, and it's not necessarily the percentage. Maybe it's the infusion style. There's great companies now doing infusion technologies, and I love working with them because the more consistent you can make your process, the more able it is to be automated. And so, for us now, as we go into keif-coating, that's a big element, is what makes a consistent keif-coated product. And we're really trying to help customers with that because, that's sort of another wave of new opportunity.
So now, and in terms of if I'm a manufacturer and I want to use your technology, do I buy the machine or is it leased, or how does this?
It's like a lease. We call it production as a service, but it's like a lease. There's a sort of minimum fee, and then as you make more, we make a small pennies. It's not a percentage based game. It's like a copier. A certain.
So it's like per unit, like how many cents a copy?
Exactly,
I gotcha. Okay, all right. Is that the only model?
It's the only model we do because we've changed our equipment. I mean, there was one period of time where we literally replaced every single piece of equipment in the field. And we did it because there was an upgrade that was just too difficult to do in the field. So we brought a new piece of equipment, we brought it back to us, we made the changeover, we brought that out, we set them up, they got free training, So we do that. We try not to do something that extensive because that's a lot of coordination, but we have. And for that reason, my experience when I took over an operation, previous to this, they were like, hey, can you get rid of this $8 million of equipment that we have? I didn't know who wanted it, what it did.
Down, yeah.
For us, is let's own it. Let's take the responsibility of it. Let's make sure that we have ways to make them more money. The cones are a great example of that. If I can help you save a penny, put another penny to work, that's all the better for you, and makes you a more stable business.
No, absolutely. I mean, and hence the name, right? Accelerant. So I think that says it all right there. It's a perfect name to accelerate your manufacturing process as it stands right now. These guys are just putting gasoline on that business fire you got going on. So I would definitely recommend you check out Accelerant. I want to thank you, Grant, for coming on stage here and letting everyone else know. Thank you for my 250th. This is pretty cool. Now, a regular consumer can't just get this from you guys, right? They have to. No.
Almost.
All right, so here we go. So that's coming soon. Maybe a DTC move. Maybe you can go on their site one day. I'm just throwing it out in the universe and say I want to print my face on it.
You could do your table arrangements at your wedding, maybe.
There you go. We'll have a little hemp festival wedding there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, again, I want to thank Grant again. I want to thank Accelerant, the folks at Accelerant for sure. Thanks for joining us here at the IgniteIT stage with Beard Bros, sponsored by Green Check. Again, my name is Shawn Cradle, and we'll see you next time.